And welcome to The Simple Path to your own spiritual enlightenment. I'm your host, Rick Delgado, and our leader on the path is the infamous Patty Horton. Patty, welcome. How are you?
I am fantastic, and thank you for having me. I'm great.
And it's awesome to finally meet you. We've kind of know each other a little bit. We've done a few interviews before, but this time you came to us in person.
Right
to
on.
take us down that spiritual enlightenment path. So thank you for making the trip all the way from, where is it, Union, Illinois?
Yep, Union, Illinois.
Okay, and that's near Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago.
Okay. And, okay, so tell everybody a little bit about you, about what you do. I already know.
You already know?
It's a fascinating story. You're going to love this lady.
Well, I am a medium. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm a trance medium, and I've been working with my gifts for over 35 years. But my connection to the spirit world goes back to at least 10 years before that. But I've been meandering along my path, working my spiritual gift on the side as I did my regular job in construction.
Right.
And I just kind of grew into my own, and I allowed this to become front and center stage for me as it makes its presence known here to all of you.
Right. And again, the path you've taken to actually get to this point has been an interesting one, because like you said, you've been doing it for how long now?
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah.
But you said you were doing it 10 years before that, just not...
Well, I was 8.
Well,
when
yeah,
I had,
you were 8.
I was
I guess that, yeah.
a little tiny thing, you know, and my grandmother appeared in my bedroom and stretched her arms out to me, and 7 white crosses flew into my chest, and I was like, freaked out and ran into my mom's room. She told me it was a dream, and I just kind of knew a lot of things as a child. And at 18, I sat with my first medium, and that's when I knew I was supposed to do this in some form or fashion. I just didn't know how.
Right.
So.
Now when that happened to you as a child, and you know, you kind of freaked out, and your parents kind of, you know, okay, you know, it's just a dream, don't worry about it. But that really, they weren't kind of being completely honest with you, right?
They really didn't know anything about it, you know.
They didn't? Okay.
No, my mom's Catholic, and my dad was raised Lutheran, and so he just worked construction his whole life, so he was really never around, and my mom just didn't really believe in that stuff, so it was just all really about God, and we just kind of let it go.
Okay, so it was one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, just kind of keep that to yourself, you know, because you could do things, you saw things, right, that you thought that everybody else could see?
I just knew things, so I really didn't dive into it where I needed to talk about it. I just knew things, and I just would talk about things, and I knew when the weather would change, and I knew when people would show up, and I knew when the phone was going to ring. So whenever I said we were going to get 17 inches of snow in the neighborhood, all the neighborhood wives and the mothers would tell me to go home, and sure enough, we get 17 inches of snow. Right. So that's kind of how it happened for me. I just allowed it to emerge naturally, if that makes sense.
And then so fast forward to that, what were you, 18 you said when you sat with a medium for the first time?
Yeah, 18.
And what was that experience like?
Oh, it was fantastic. I was working at Kmart, and my girlfriend says, hey, I know this medium, you have to go and see her. And she called her a psychic, and I'm like, all right, give me your number. So I made an appointment, and I had a lot of stuff going on. And when I showed up at her house, she had a deck of regular playing cards, and she would say, let me look at your hands. And she'd be looking at the lines in my hand, and I found that fascinating. And she told me who my husband was, what he looked like, where he was. I was going to get married to him. She described him perfectly, and 9 years later is when I actually met my husband and married him. And everything she told me 9 years prior was 100% truthful.
Wow.
It was amazing. it was amazing. I'm like, where's this guy? How am I going to meet him? I'm never going to go to Germany. And he was serving in the military in Germany at the time of the reading. So, yeah, and when I left that reading, I went in my car and said, I believe I've looked into the mirrored reflection of my own soul. Right. There was something about her that was magical. You could just sit there. She had red hair, and she'd sit there in her robe, and she would read for you, and it was just amazing. Right.
Now, how did you know that this was going to be, you know, something you could do, that you could do all those things?
You know what? I just knew. I just knew when I sat with her there was something that was identical to me. Okay. I knew that there was something about her that matched what I knew. And everything that she did intrigued me so much, so I allowed books to be my teachers for 10 years. And so for 10 years, I call it, I hid my spiritual closet, and I allowed books to be my teachers. And everything that I learned in those books, I actually did. I utilized those books. And until I met my first teacher.
And so during that time where you're in the spiritual closet,
Yep.
a little wacky, and people are laughing because we have a live studio audience.
Yes, we do.
Which we'll get them involved a little bit later. But during that time, you know, you didn't just, okay, now I'm going to start reading people. It was, you took a very different path, right?
I did. You know, I read people, I just gave them information. I mean, when I first started reading for people, it was because the crow showed up and the crow would caw.
Now, what are you talking about, the crow? Are you talking about the movie with
No, the
Brandon
bird.
Lee? Oh,
the bird,
okay.
the crows. And the crows would show up. And so they would caw at me. And it intrigued me. And I became familiar with what they were trying to tell me from the spirit world and the natural world. And when they showed up, I knew I had to acknowledge them. And when I would acknowledge them, they would fly away or they would be silenced. And depending on the caw, I knew what message I had to give. And they were kind of like the gateway for me. They opened the doorway for me to step forward and say on a job site, hey, you know, you're going to hear about somebody passing away.
Right.
And people are like, how do you know? I said, the crow just told me.
And then they say, oh, you know what? She's been hitting the wacky tobacco.
You know, and then they would actually come back later and say, wow, you know,
Right.
I had someone pass away. Or they would come and they would allow me to know that someone in my own life was going to pass away, or in my family, or connected to me through childhood.
Right.
So that's how it happened for me.
Right, but you're talking about mentioning this to somebody on a job site. So what was your actual job when you were you know, dispensing this? Oh, by the way, so and so, this is going to happen to you.
Well, I started out as a union truck driver, so I was a dump truck driver, a bomber driver. So I moved the dirt from job site to job site and hauled the mix in for the roads. And that's when I first started getting my feet wet in construction. And then I moved on from there, and I became an owner-operator and then an operating engineer. So that's where I came to in the last point of my life. But on job sites, people knew.
Right.
And so they would seek me out.
Now, was there any benefit to having your talent at a job site and be like,
Yes.
I didn't even finish. Like in what respect?
Because I would know who to trust and who not to trust. I would know who had my back and who didn't. I would know, I would have dreams about people, and I would say, hey, I dreamt about you last night.
Right. And
I would tell them what the dream was, and it was always job site related. And it started happening to them, so they would come back to the yard and said, please don't dream about me anymore.
So you telling them you had a dream about them triggered them having a dream as well?
No, they went out and whatever the dream was about ended up happening. So they would say, don't dream about me anymore.
Right.
You know, I just knew things. It protected me. It kept me safe. But if I went against my gut, I was always sorry.
Right.
So yeah, on the job site, it was great.
Now, what about, there was another job in there as well, right?
Which one?
Well, which one? Several. Because you were a belly dancer.
I was.
Right?
For 22 years, I was professional. And so I danced on and off with a dance troupe. So I used to do my, and it was very spiritual to be a belly dancer because it allowed you to show your vulnerability, and it allowed you to express yourself in a way that you do when you do your dance with the spirit world, as I call it.
Right.
So,
now, when you're, because you're, you know, of course you're hired to do this, right?
yeah.
So you go around to parties probably and stuff like that?
I really kind of traveled with the troupe, and so we used to go and compete. And so when the troupe would travel, we'd go to certain destinations in certain cities, and we'd compete. So most of my performing was there. It was done on a stage. It wasn't done individually at house parties a lot.
Gotcha.
No.
I watch too many movies
You
and
do.
TV, so those are my references in life.
That's okay.
Now, when you're, you know, again, you know, it happened to you on the job site. You would, you know people, and you would tell them things. What about?
Sure.
What about when Patty's just being Patty? She's got, you know, she's got her comfy shoes on. She's just chilling out. She decides, you know what, I got to run to the store and pick something up. And you come across someone. Do you ever, you know, see someone and be like, oh, geez? Do
No.
you see stuff like that happen to you?
You know what? I can see things about people, but it's not my place to go and say things to strangers, because that's like peeking into somebody's window. And so there's an ethics behind it. And so it would be unethical for me to see a stranger at the Green Beans and go and tell them something about their life.
Right.
Because for me, I feel if somebody is seeking my guidance, I allow them to seek me out. I don't seek them out because I know the spirit world will always send to me who is supposed to sit before me because it becomes an energetic match.
Okay.
So no, if people ask me, can you tell me something about someone else, I'll always say no.
Right. Now, what about, have you ever been somewhere and somebody just says, look, they just strike up a conversation with you because they feel like they have to?
Sometimes.
Does that stuff happen?
Yeah, that stuff happens, and then you find this common bond, and then the spiritual part of you will come out.
Like something,
you know,
like something told me I have to come over and talk to you? Or something like that? Has that?
Exactly. Well, yeah, on a job site that happened to me.
Really?
I was oiling on a rig. I was out at the oil refinery, and I was oiling on a rig, and I started seeing something about one of the workers out there. And there was another operator that knew what I had seen, and he's like, are you going to tell him? I'm like, no, I'm not going to tell him. So he would walk by the rig every day. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks, and he turned around, and he stopped, and he looked me dead in the eye. He goes, for some reason, I know I have to stop and talk to you, and I don't know why. And I said, oh, I know why. And so I began to tell him about his aunt that had shown up, and she wanted to talk about the cinnamon cookie recipe. And his face turned white, and I gave him the information, and he probably didn't talk to me for about 3 weeks after that, until he came back around and said, you really scared me, but my mom has been looking for that recipe, and then we got into a deeper conversation. So people will just stop because it's that energy that draws them there.
Wow.
Which is really cool, right?
Yeah. And that's the I guess the psychic part of what you do, right?
Yeah, I would say it's the mediumship part.
It's the mediumship
Yeah,
part?
because we're all energy, right? And so anybody that sits with anyone, it's going to be an energetic match. You know, for me, like you said, when I'm sitting in my robe or I need to do something or I need to go to the store, I always allow the spiritual aspect to go with me wherever I go. So I don't separate myself from it.
Okay.
I just know how to move through life and exude it.
Right.
Just like you do.
Now you're freaking me out. Now, when you are moving through life, say you're going through a store, you're going through a restaurant or something, do you sometimes get inundated? Like, are they coming at you like, oh my God, she can see me kind of?
No, you know,
like Swayze.
a lot of people say that stuff, and
Okay.
for me, that's not my experience. So I think a little bit of it is exaggerated.
Okay.
I'm going to say about that much. I think it's exaggerated because sometimes when people get on their spiritual path, they're so excited about it that they want to make it a little more fantastic or fascinating so that you become interested so they get the opportunity to read for you. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
So for me, that's never been my experience.
Right.
I just can see them appear behind you.
Like right now?
Like right now.
Now you're totally freaking me out. I am not turning around.
They just present themselves, and it becomes energy. And when they know that the medium is sitting in the chair, or they know the person that can see them is sitting there, they'll begin to communicate. Because as we have this conversation, you're opening up the door. You're opening up the door that says, Patty, I'm giving you permission to peek into my life because we have walked down this path together, and we're going to, you know, somewhat do a dance. And so I'm giving you permission to tell me what you see. And so whenever anybody comes to me and says, can you tell me anything? And then they'll shy away. I said, oh, be careful, you've just opened the door. And then the information will flow.
Oh, okay. Now that just opens up a whole different, because I got to check. I just have to check. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. Like, and I think I explained this to you. Like, I do want to go down that road and be like, yeah, let's do a reading, but part of me wants to close that off, being like, I don't know if I want her to see everything, and I don't know how much gets exposed. Like, are there certain things you won't tell people because you feel it might be uncomfortable for them to hear?
Whatever you choose to keep hidden will always remain hidden. I don't care how great if someone says I'm a great psychic or I'm a great medium. When you choose to keep something hidden and secret, your soul won't reveal it because it's your free will that chooses to keep those things private.
Okay.
So that's the way that it works. Everybody thinks that if you sit with someone, they're going to tell you something fantastic, but if you want to keep it hidden, it stays hidden. And I know this for a fact because for 26 years when I sat with Jackie for readings throughout all those years, there was something very sacred to myself that I didn't want revealed. And I would say, please don't let this come up in the reading. And it never did, and we never talked about it, not once in all the years I knew her.
All right. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's the way it works.
Okay. Now, when somebody does, decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to come to Patty for a reading, is it something where they'll come to you with specific questions? Because I think everybody, and you always hear the cliches. Oh, I want to know about my relationship, and I want to know about money. Those, I think those would be the two big ones, right?
Funny. I love money. Money's just an energy.
Right.
So we can create as much as we want or we can do without it as we create lack of money. So when we become fearful of money, then we keep money away from us. And that's just the simplicity and the energy of money, for example.
Okay.
But when people sit with me, I always ask the spirit world, allow me to read for them and answer their questions before the end of the reading. Because once the spirit world starts rolling, I've been known to talk for a very long time,
Right.
because the information just will come out in waves.
Okay. Now, when you are, connecting with the spirit side, do you ever, are there ever things that come out that you don't remember saying to people?
When I'm channeling and I have the guides and teachers coming through and they're
Okay.
speaking to the essence of the soul, or they're talking about the wisdom, I will not be able to repeat or duplicate that information because it comes from a place of purity within the spirit world.
Okay. What does that mean?
That means that it's coming from a place of such a high vibration that it comes out as wisdom. And so I can't capture it in a bottle. It's nothing that's pre-planned in my mind. It's nothing that's in my own vocabulary.
Is it anything in your own voice?
Yeah, my voice will be my voice.
Okay.
But I can allow them to speak and use my voice and allow them to communicate with my sitter. Okay. So some people want to come for that kind of a reading, and other people want to come because they want to connect about their life, or they want to connect to those who have crossed over.
Right.
And I always say, be open to everyone who shows up, because you just never know who's going to step into the room. The funny thing is that everyone's like, oh, I want to hear from my mom. Now, I love my mom and I want to hear from her, and she's in the spirit world. Right. But Uncle Joe shows up, and she's like, why is Uncle Joe showing up? We didn't get along at all. And
Right.
I say, well, that's the reason why Uncle Joe is here.
Right.
Even though you already recognize your mom's love and you know that she's here with you because you can feel her every day, Uncle Joe has the opportunity to right a wrong that he had with you. And that's the cool part of it.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting stuff. Again, we're sitting with Patty Horton. The Simple Path to Your Own Spiritual Enlightenment. You can find out more about her, what she does, at her website, innereyeconnections.com, or give her a call at 630-417-7130. We do have a live studio audience.
Yes, we do.
We'll be going to them in just a little bit to do some live readings. That should be
exciting.
I'm not going to be sitting over there with them.
I got you right here.
I know.
I have you all captive to myself right now, so they're all right over there.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Now, Patty, once you started, okay, so you got to this point where, okay, now I'm going to embrace what I have here.
Yeah.
I'm studying, you learned from I guess, your teachers, right? And you did your own studying, where you were in the spiritual closet, as you called it.
Yes.
Once you started really getting out there and putting yourself out there, making yourself available to people, as opposed to just going to people that kind of came to you and knew what you did. How has that changed? Have you been able to really grow what you can do now?
This is the cool part about spirituality. No matter what it is that you're seeking, whether you're seeking to find out if you're a healer, or you're seeking to find out about your empathy, or you're seeking to find out about being a medium, the cool thing about spirituality is learning how to connect to the spirit world and the guides and teachers that work with you on a daily basis, setting up a daily discipline and sitting in the chair and writing in your journal and building that rapport, and then everything else opens up. Everybody wants that instant gratification. I'm going to go sit somewhere. I'm going to get a certificate that says I am something, or whatever it is that they're looking for. And that's really not the way that it works, because we have to sit in the chair, we have to sit in the seat, and we have to become seasoned in our gift. We have to become seasoned. We have to allow it to grow and manifest itself and open itself up in the most magnificent ways, so that when I speak to somebody, they can feel the energy come through me. Right. When I speak to your soul, when a medium or anybody speaks to your soul, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the energy come from me and to you.
Okay.
And so, in the end, it's just sitting in the chair and discovering who we are. Because it's all about self-discovery. It's not about what he can do or what she can do. It's about, I like what he does and I like what she does, and I have foundations because they've taught me things. Yet now, how do I make these things work for me? How do I apply them in a way that I can grow them into my own? Right. And that's the most beautiful way. That's the simple path to spirituality.
Okay. Now what about, can you do what your first, I guess, your first reader did for you, and tell people kind of the future, like you're going to meet this type of person?
Yes.
Blah, blah. You can.
I do get future predictions.
Cool.
So I can't see things into the future, so I can see things that will occur.
Right.
I work with dates very well. I don't work with names a lot, and I've always wondered why. And the spirit world always has taught me that it's not our name that matters, it's our energy connecting to our energy that will affect you and the sitter the most.
Right.
And so names were never important. So for me, the development of names will come periodically, but I don't work in names. I can give you a full description of who appears. I can give you symptoms of what they may have passed over from. I can give you information about their life, like the gentleman I wrote in here to the studio with.
Okay.
I said, hey, you have a grandmother you were close to, and she's talking to me about plantains, and he goes, she had a plantain farm. So it's really very interesting, the information that they give, because they want to connect to you. They're going to go right for the good stuff.
They're going to go for the stuff that makes you can make that connection with quickly, it seems.
They're
like.
going to give the information that's going to be pertinent to the sitter.
Right.
Now, it takes time to develop that and to allow the spirit world to work with your own verbiage and the way that you communicate. Now for me, I'll have, you know, people with salty language will show up around me all the time in the spirit world, because they know that in construction I've been around that. So they're not afraid to come and present themselves. And I'll say, hey, you know, I have somebody here and they like to, you know, say a few bad words. Are you opposed to it? And they're like, oh no. So I always laugh, because those are the spirits that come to me quite often.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so say somebody contacts you out of the blue.
Yeah.
What do you need from them? You know, they schedule an appointment.
I just want to know your name, and I'm going to give you a time and a date, and then we're going to have our session. I don't want to know any information about you, because I want to allow the spirit world to tell the story. I want the spirit world to give to you what it is that you're looking for. I want the spirit world to fill in the blanks, tell the story of your life or their life lived. And so that's what I need. And I'll open up the floor for some questions should you have some, but I always say, don't tell me anything about yourself, because I don't want your reading to be spoiled by something that you might have said to me, even though the information was already coming through. I want you to know what you're getting is coming from the spirit world and not from a conversation that we've had.
Right. So in other words, it's almost like they contact you, then it could be on the phone, because you don't have to be there in person, right?
Right.
So you can do a long distance. If they're in another state, another country, they can still contact you.
Absolutely.
Set up the time and then get on the phone and say, okay, Patty, I'm here. Oh, hey, Rick. And then what happens? Would that person say, if it was me, I'd just be quiet and you would just go?
Well, we would just say, you know, we could have a cordial hello, how are you? You know what I mean? It's
right.
And what happens is sometimes before the reading, I'll start getting information.
Okay.
And I always laugh, because I'm like, you know, I read for one lady, and before she showed up, because I remember certain little things about readings, before she showed up, they were showing me her father, and her father would take her to the cemetery. And I'm like, that's odd.
Yeah, that's
so
weird.
I sat there for a while, and when she sat for the reading, I said, you know, before you got here, the spirit world showed me you with your father, and you as a little girl, and he held your hand, and you would go to the cemetery. And she goes, we did that all the time. We loved to visit the cemetery.
Wow.
So that's how it works. So that I allowed the spirit world to give to me what I need to validate that they're there, yet I also trust in the information that I'm giving. I don't change it or alter it to fit a narrative, yet at times we'll move through some things, and so you can understand what it is that they're trying to say.
Right.
Because sometimes people get psychic amnesia. They're like, what? I don't remember that. And
Right.
I'll say, stick it in your pocket and save it for later, and they'll take it home, and then they'll call me,
Right.
or they'll send me an email. Oh my God, I remember after the reading, this is what that meant.
Right.
And so in that moment, I always say, just take what is given to you, because it will make sense to you later.
Right.
And that's the beautiful part.
Now, if somebody say they contact you and they're like, well, you know what, I'm struggling with, this particular thing. Make it a work challenge, okay? Is that something you can also delve into for them?
Well, I always say I'll read you on a soul level. Okay. I'll always say, I'm going to read you where you are at spiritually at this time during the reading. It allows me to peek into your soul. I can gather information about their life as well. I don't limit myself and put myself in boxes and say, I'm only going to read this and I can't read that. I allow the spirit world to come in from two different places, and I call it, that's where two worlds will collide. And that means I allow those who have crossed over to step up during the time of reading, and I allow the guides and teachers to come from behind, and they meet in the middle, and the readings are organic, and they become beautiful, and all of those questions are answered. Right. But I do get stuff like that, yes.
Yeah, because again, it's one of those things. If it's not relationship, it usually has to do with work and money. Am I going to win the lottery? I'm sure.
Or home, can I sell my house,
right.
And can I do this, or I'm going to do that? And, I love the ones when I'm like, oh, there's a new car. I see you ran a car. I just bought a car. Right. Or I'm, thinking about getting a car. Or there's so many amazing things that come through in a reading that it's mind-blowing.
Right.
It just is. It'll boggle your mind.
Now, what about, say, a situation where maybe you're going to someone's home to do the reading?
Yeah.
Have you ever run into spirits like in a home, like, ooh, this is throws me off a little bit, or?
No, you know why? Because we are the energy that we keep the energy that we are. So I draw to me the energy that works with me. So I'm never put off by a spirit because I don't believe that the spirit world comes to attack anybody, attach themselves to anybody, or they're not coming in to live my life.
Right.
Yet I'm open to the information that they have to give me, because when the soul crosses over, everything changes. They see things with different eyes. They don't see things in black and white. They don't see things like this desk is here.
Right.
It's different. It moves and has movement.
Yeah,
and
they're ghosts. They walk right through that.
That's funny. Well, they can appear anywhere.
Right.
They can appear right there.
They're probably sitting right next to me.
They probably are.
Probably looking at holding my glasses.
They probably are. And so too, I will never read for somebody who's uncomfortable, because I don't want to put somebody in an uncomfortable position. So I always tell people, when you come and sit for a reading, be open for that reading, so that you can get all that you came for. Because sometimes people might come into a reading and they're completely closed off, and I always will say to them, why is it that you sat here? And when you've closed yourself off to the information, and by the time we get to the end of the reading, everything that I was trying to tell them in the beginning comes out, and it's 5 minutes and it's time to go, and and then they walk away with, why did I do that?
Right.
So that's kind of how it works.
Right. Now, what about good news versus bad news? Because everybody, You know
what? There's always a gift on the backside of all news.
Okay.
So whatever the spirit world gives to you, know that there's a gift attached to it, whether it's good news or bad news, whether it's a divorce, whether it's I'm going to lose a job, whether, I might break my foot, whatever it is, being conscious of maybe getting in an accident, know that there's always a gift on the backside of any information that's given. Because the spirit world doesn't come in to disrupt our lives. They come in to assist us in our lives.
Okay.
And that's the beautiful part of it. And if everybody could understand that's the way the spirit world works, I think we'd have a more joyful society.
Right.
People would be happy.
Yeah, that's true.
You just tune in. Hey, you know what? I can feel your energy. What do you got for me?
Right.
That's what I do. I'll say it right in the middle of a grocery store.
I do it in the parking lot.
Yeah, you do?
Well, if I'm looking for a parking space, I amaze people with my parking angel, I call it.
Oh, I love that.
Because it always seems I get like a great parking spot.
Okay, you know what's funny?
What?
My mother-in-law passed away today, and
Today?
it was today. Not today. It was 4 years ago. But
right.
that was her thing, and so I said to her, "Show up for me today, Pat." And she just showed up because she used to say, "I'm going to get the angels, and they're going to get me front row." And no matter where we would go, we would get front row.
Really?
So you actually opened the doorway by telling that story, because I asked her to appear here, and that was one of the things we always talk about. So when we drive through the mall, and we could hear her laughing, and she would always get a front row spot, always.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's one of the things that, for some stupid reason, it works. I just go, okay, find me a good spot right up near the doors. Boom, and there it comes.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And then say thank you.
I do.
Right on.
And then the other person looks at me like, how the heck did you do that? I'm like, I don't know.
And isn't that wonderful? So what you did is you worked with manifestation. So you allowed yourself the ability to manifest what it is you wanted instantaneously in that moment. And if you could harness the power of what you can do in a mall parking lot, just think what you could do with the rest of your life. Just think about it. Imagine it. Imagine
I could be
it.
6 foot tall.
Well, what's that going to get you?
Maybe not.
What's that going to get you?
For that.
You're going to be ducking to get indoors, but no, just think about that, right? Look at the power. You know what you want. You claim it to the universe. You see it in your head. You know what's going to happen, and boom, it happens. That's how life works.
Right.
That's powerful.
Right.
So if you could take that and use it to apply it to the rest of your life will change in the most amazing ways, the most magnificent ways. Everything that you dream of and desire will begin presenting itself to you in a very, they're saying, fluid and quick fashion.
Right. Now, is that something that, when you're working with people that maybe, maybe they come to you once a month because they need
No,
their
I won't
patty
read for
done?
you once a month.
Oh, no?
No.
Okay, well, maybe they're regular.
You know why? No, I don't have regulars.
Oh, okay.
You want to know why? Because I'm not your crutch.
Right.
And I'm not your cheat sheet. And so when you sit with me, I'll tell people, 6 months, 8 months to a year, I always push them to a year.
Right.
I will not read for you again because I've already given you so much information. Now take that information and apply it to your life.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so I don't have regulars, and, You know, I just don't believe in that, because then the medium becomes the crutch.
Right.
And so we don't need crutches, because I'm just a tool to learn from, not a crutch to lean upon. Okay. And so you can learn a lot from me in 45 minutes in a reading, opposed to having to see me every week. Because, you know, just think about it. If you came to me every month, you're probably going to come back with the same exact thing you came to me with last month. Right. And so if that's what you're looking for, then you have to go find a psychiatrist or a life coach or somebody that can help you. So for me, it's just all about the information that I can give to you on a soul level, but I will not read for you. I pretty much put it out to
Once a year, basically.
Once a year, because that's all you need.
Right. Now what about, you know, when somebody is getting a reading, do you record that for them? Because, you know, again, that's a lot of information. It's tough to recall a lot of that, right?
It depends. There's times I will allow recording, and there's times that I won't. And I always have pen and paper sitting at my table, and I tell them that, you know, that they have to write. If I'm going to channel from the spirit world and I'm going to channel information from the guides and teachers, you can record me, because the information that comes through is so magnificent. I can't put words to how it affects and changes your life, and the wisdom that comes through in those moments.
Right. Now, again, you know, we've known each other for a little bit because we've talked a bunch.
Yes.
In those times, you know, when you do, you know, when we have talked, and you're saying it's happening now that there's somebody standing behind me, which, again, is freaking me out just a little bit.
And I won't pull them forward either. But I do feel it's man.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, when you're out places, do these things, do they kind of follow you around sometimes?
No, you know why? Because I set up the boundaries and the parameters for me.
All right.
Anybody who does that, they're not staying in line or in balance with their human self.
Right.
So when you're not in balance or in line with your human self, that means I'm too entrenched in my spirituality, and that means that my life, my human life, is going to suffer for it. The best and most beautiful way that you can walk the simple path is to allow your spirituality to come in and be a part of your everyday life, yet embrace your humanness, because we all came back here to live a human lifetime and to enjoy this beauty of this schoolhouse, they call it. They want to call it the schoolhouse of Earth. And to enjoy that human life, you know, all those human luxuries, all those human desires, we came back here to experience them. And sometimes when people go spiritual, they want to shut those off. It's like saying, oh, shut your ego off. Why would you shut your ego off? Your ego is actually your best friend. Your ego pushes you forward in life. Your ego protects you from getting harmed. Your ego pushes you forward to get that job, to make more money, to get married, all of those things. Your ego is your personality. Now, if we quieted that part of ourselves and shut it off and pretended like it didn't exist, then we'd walk around and we'd all be numb. And none of us would get anywhere. Right. Why do we want to quiet the best part of ourselves? We need to temper it, because our ego can get us in trouble. But why would we want to quiet that?
Right.
To me, that's mind-numbing. I just don't get it. So for me, I love my ego. I bring my ego everywhere I go. I don't live in an ego state where I want to say I'm better than someone else, because I feel that we're all equal. Right. But I allow my ego to propel me forward in ways that I need it to. Right. Yeah.
Now, what if somebody comes to you and says, you know what, Patty, my life is a mess. It seems like every time I try and do something, I'm making the wrong decisions.
The spirit world will tell them. Whatever it is, and everybody's situation is unique, the spirit world will tell them what is going on with them. The spirit world will come in, and they'll at times give someone a spiritual spanking, as I like to call it. And so they come in and they kind of correct them in that moment. And things will come out and they'll be a little like, I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry I had to say it that way. And the people will always say, 99% of the time, no, I'm glad you said that, because it's what I needed to hear. Right. So the spirit world is very wise when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like that bad news that I was talking about earlier. I mean, do you... Okay, I'm going to ask, do you know when people, has anybody ever asked you, do you know when I'm going to die?
The spirit world won't tell us. You want to know why?
Okay.
Because it's not my place to tell you when you're going to die. Because if I said, hey, Rick, you know what, in 5 years you're going to die on May 5th, whatever the date is 5 years out from here, you're going to walk around for the next 5 years thinking, I'm going to die on May 5th, 5 years out from here. Right. And you're not going to be able to enjoy your life. It's not my place to tell you when you're going to pass over. And the spirit world won't do that either, because they don't want to affect the free will of the soul. They don't want to take away the joy from your life. They don't want to cheat you out of your human experience. Okay. So they will never, in my experience and what I've been guided to know, will ever tell a death date. Now, if someone's old and they're at the close to the end of their lifetime, they'll talk about the transition because they're in that phase.
Okay.
But they're not going to say, hey, you know, in 2099, you're going to drop dead from a heart attack.
Right.
They might say, hey, you know what, you have some heart conditions you need to be careful of, but they're not going to
Okay.
give you that date.
Right.
Make sense?
Got it. No, that does make sense. But what if somebody's like, you know what? They just sat with you, and they're okay, great. They thank you. They're walking out the door. You're not going to see them for another year, and all of a sudden you get this flash like, oh, they're about to get hit by a bus. Come here.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I can see when something's going to happen.
Okay.
I'll know when somebody shouldn't do something,
Okay.
and so I'll call them up on the phone. And now they'll say, oh, Patty said don't do this. And they'll give me a window. Just be careful during this window of time. Stay away from
Right.
riding your motorcycle. Stay away from doing certain things. And they'll listen to me. My friend Robin, I think I told you the story before, told her not to ride her bike. I said, don't ride your motorcycle. Tell your whole family to stay off it for 3 days. And she said, okay. She's going to ride with her girlfriend. Her girlfriend said, she said, Patty said we can't ride today. And she goes, I'm going riding. I don't care what this Patty said. And
Right.
Robin goes, well, I'm not riding with you. So the lady went out and she was riding her motorcycle. And Robin would have been with her, and they were sitting at a stoplight, and the lady got hit by a car on her motorcycle. Right. And Robin stayed off of the road because the spirit world said, hey, don't ride right now. And so they gave her the warning, and she heeded the warning, and after the 3 days passed, she moved on with her life. Right. So I love those little things because it helps prevent things from happening. Right. It gives you kind of like, you know, a peek. Yeah. You know, the warning,
Little
yellow light,
hints.
yellow, you know.
It's almost like the parent going, I told you, don't touch the hot stove. You're going to burn yourself.
Well, my husband was driving to work, and I heard Larry's going to get hit by a deer. And I'm like, no, he's not. I'm not calling him. And they're like, they kept on talking about the deer. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. And it was Larry, and I picked up the phone. I said, oh, my God, you hit a deer? He goes, yeah, how did you know? I said, 15 minutes ago, I heard you were going to hit a deer. He goes, why didn't you call me?
So you got in trouble for not calling.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's kind of how it works, and I love those things because
Right.
it really helps people in a way to prevent something from happening,
Right.
whether it's an accident or, you know, a trip or a fall or something going on at your house, whatever it is. So I love those things.
That's
So,
great.
so they'll give you warnings there.
All right. Well, that's great to know. Again, we've been sitting with our guest, Patty Horton. She's the owner of Inner Eye Connections. Go to the website, innereyeconnections.com, out of Union, Illinois, which means it's just out of Chicago, right?
That's right.
630-417-7130 is her phone number. If you want to go down that path to your spiritual enlightenment, contact her. She can help you. Right now, though, we do have some people in the studio audience that are going to be read. We're going to do that right in just a few moments.
Yeah, you know, while we have a few moments left,
Okay.
there's one thing I would like to say the spirit world's been wanting me to
Is this
pull
about me?
apart. No, it's not.
Okay.
You know, a spiritual teacher, anybody who really lives their spirituality, will bring 1 grain of wheat to the table, and they will have many people sitting there. And as they share that grain of wheat with others, that grain of wheat multiplies, and it feeds everybody that sits at that table and creates that ripple effect as it carries itself out into the world from that one tiny grain of wheat.
All right.
Isn't that awesome?
That's nice. And I think I kind of make that correlation with you know, contacting your friend saying, don't ride your bike, you know, between these 3 days.
Right.
Because then that sends that ripple effect.
Yes, that ripple effect, it goes out there. So,
Right.
you know, everything we do, even everything that you do, when you put something out there, it comes out in 1 tiny grain of wheat. And when you put it on the table and people sit at the table and they eat of that wheat, everybody walks away full, even though it was only 1 tiny grain. You know, like 1 tiny grain of sand becomes one of the pearls on your strand of life lessons. Right. You know, it's just a really beautiful, simple philosophy from the spirit world.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing
You're
that.
welcome.
Again, we've been on the simple path to your own spiritual enlightenment. We're going to do some readings next, so we'll be right back with the readings with Patty Horton right after this.
So through my ability as a medium, I can see things, I hear things, I feel things, and I know things. And that means that I just see images about people's life. I can hear the voices and the words inside of my head. I can feel the impressions that the spirit world is pushing through me, and it's all married to a knowingness. When I do read for somebody, I come into their vibration with love, and I see where their soul is at spiritually during the time of the reading, which allows me to take a peek into their life. It also gives me permission to step forward and see what the spirit world has to say. So with that being said, Hi, what's your name?
My name is Jennifer Santiago.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. You know, first of all, I just want to tell you to relax, you know, because I can see that there's this nervousness about you, but I also can see that there's this anticipation. I almost feel like I have this childlike quality about me. I want to know what Santa Claus is bringing for me before it gets to the Christmas tree. So I almost want to tease you a little bit. Did you look for the presents before they came under the Christmas tree? So I want to say that I want to tease you about peeking into the packages before they were wrapped. There was this part of you. Did you do that?
Yes.
So, you know, and that just to, you know, it's just kind of like I feel like there's things that I need to know. There's a way that I need to move forward. I want to know things before they happen. There's a part of you that is almost like the girl on Willy Wonka, you know, I want the goose that laid the golden egg and I want it now, you know, but sometimes that gets you in trouble because I feel like sometimes you put the cart before the horse. And so you're always, you know, you're running 10 steps ahead instead of staying behind to see how it's going to unfold. So at times that can get you in trouble. So they're asking you, the spirit world is revealing this because they want you to slow down because everything has its moment in time. All things are in their own perfect timing. And so for you, you need to understand that. I also feel like I have some ambition at my work. I feel like I'm coming into a change or I want something to change. So are you looking for change in work? Because I want to change.
Yes.
Okay. So they're talking about this ambition. I also, they're also showing me your resume and I feel like I have a few things that I need to organize. Are you working on that now?
Not really, but I've been thinking about it.
Okay. So work on that resume so that you can have it ready and presented because I feel when I get into 2018, whether it's in the place that I'm working at now or I submit it out to other companies, I need to have that on paper, what it is that I'm asking for. So have that resume ready. Get going with that and so you can stack the dice. I feel you're going to start that in January, but in March I feel like it's really funny because I want to cast out my fishing pole and I got the bobber and the worms on there and bam, I get a bite right away. So I feel that whatever it is that you put in that resume, if you word it correctly, you're going to throw it out into the pool and it's going to get a bite. So just be prepared because I feel I'm going to have a few different options. You know, I'm going to be juggling some balls and I'm going to have some choices that I can make. So, but they said, don't think so much about, oh, this is they're going to pay me X amount of dollars more than this company's going to pay me. They said you need to look at the whole picture because even if they're going to pay you this, company B might be the better choice for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they're asking you to kind of slow down, but I feel that 2018 is going to be your year. I feel like I'm coming into something big. I feel like I've been asking when is something going to change for me, and 2018 is the year for you. I'm also supposed to tell you to kind of be wary of this weekend because we are coming into the full moon and the supermoon, and it's going to affect yourself and people around you. They also make me feel like, who's the Scorpio around you? Scorpio would be a September, October birthday.
My brother.
Okay, because I feel like, and is your brother here?
No.
He's in the spirit world?
No, he is here.
Okay.
He's 13. He just
Okay,
turned 13.
because I feel that Scorpio, you know, that Scorpio is going to really kind of get fired up. So I feel like there's a Scorpio energy that's close to you that's really going to get fired up. So the full moon might really affect me, and so he might lash out and pull back. Okay, you know what, I also want to connect with your mom. So is your mom in the spirit world?
No.
She's here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is there someone close to her in the spirit world? Because I want to connect to mom.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to connect to mom. I keep on hearing mother, 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 mother. Okay, so is mom's mom in the spirit world?
No, the grandmother.
Grandmother.
My dad's mom is. She just recently passed away.
But would she have been close to your mom?
No.
She's coming forward as a mom.
Okay, so it's my grandmother.
So see where that comes into play because I want to talk about the mom energy in the spirit world. Mom, 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 mom. Okay, you know, I want to fry things. I want to put things, I want to chop things up, and I want to fry them. So was she a big fryer of things? Okay, because I want to fry things. I want to, you know, I want to put them into the fryer. I want to put them into the oil. So she's showing me the frying or the cooking, you know, and I get, you know, so. And then they're making me feel like grease or fried things were not the greatest for her health. And then does she like a lot of salt?
Yes.
Because I want to salt it.
Yeah.
So she's showing me all the salt that she's putting on all these fried things. But she's also making me feel that this had something to do with her passing. This had something to do with her health. She's making me feel as if those fried foods came in and they affected me in a negative way. So did she, and so when she shows me all the grease and all the fries, she makes me feel that she was told to change her diet, but she didn't change her diet. There was something she needed to change, but there was a part of her that didn't want to change. And she also makes me feel that I didn't really feel or think that it would have turned out this way. So she almost is saying it was a surprise to me, even though she knew in the back of her mind it wasn't going to be a surprise. Right. So she talks about all those fried foods. So I also want to talk about who would have the circulation or the coronary or the heart conditions. Where does the heart conditions run in the family? Because she wants to talk about the circulation, the blood flow, the high blood pressure, the cholesterol.
Everyone.
Okay.
Everyone.
So she's really coming forward. So is your dad taking care of himself when it comes to the cholesterol and all of those things? And so who's nagging him about that? Because she makes me feel like if somebody isn't nagging him, he should be nagged. She's making me feel someone's coming and kind of pecking in his ear, but he's closing his ear off. He doesn't want to hear it. So wherever dad isn't acknowledging it, right. She says she's asking him to be mindful. Because she says, I see what's going on. And she wants to say, don't do what I did. And so she makes me feel that in some ways, dad is a lot like mom, his mom. When it comes to those things and when it comes to the health and when it comes to enjoying those things. So there's a part of him that doesn't want to change. And so she recognizes this because she makes me feel she was a stubborn woman, was she?
Yeah.
And so she says her stubbornness, she was stubborn and so was dad. And so she talks about that stubbornness going down the line. She makes me feel as January is a very significant date. January.
My mom's birthday.
So happy birthday to mom. So that's where the connection to mom comes in, because you make me feel January is an important, significant date. And even though, and it's real funny because you're like, oh, they didn't get along. So it makes sense why she comes in and wants to acknowledge your mom. When I have goosebumps big time. And so when she talks about acknowledging your mom, she makes me feel as if she might have said some things that she shouldn't have said, or butted her nose into your mom's business where it didn't belong, or tried to step into the marriage more as a wife than a mother-in-law. So she, for instance, may say, you know what, you didn't tuck in the corners on that bed, and that's not the way that you should make the bed. And so these were kind of some issues that your mom and your grandma had between them. So she's coming in to say, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And so she's asking if you would be so kind as to extend that to your mom.
Yes.
Because this is really important, because she says, I was wrong. And when I'm wrong, I can admit it, and so she wants to rectify it and make it right. And who's been in the church lighting candles? She makes me feel like someone lit a candle for someone. I went into church and I lit a candle for someone. So see if your mom has gone into the church, but she shows me someone going to the church, they're saying prayers for someone and they're lighting candles. So she wants to acknowledge the lighting of the candles. She's connecting to the family. Does she have a daughter?
Yes.
Okay. So would her daughter be one that would go to church?
Yes.
And so she acknowledges the lighting of the candle. So you're supposed to, she wants to know that she says thank you, and she wants to thank her for the prayers, because she makes me feel as if your aunt is praying for her. And she says she wants to let everyone know that she made it. And so if someone was concerned whether she made it, she said, I made it, I'm here. She says, boy, but do I got a lot to learn. But she also makes me feel that she did have a great sense of humor, but she was very outspoken. Is that true about your grandma?
Yes.
So, and where's the namesake come in? Because she's referencing the namesake.
Sake?
The namesake, that means that someone's name, in the middle name, first name, there's a namesake.
Angel.
And so that's her name.
Dad.
And so is he a namesake?
Yes, my grandfather, my brother.
And so she talks about the namesake. So she talks about that, I feel like it's circular and it moves on down the line. So she talks and she references the namesake. So she makes me feel she's still watching over the family. Don't think that I'm that far away. And so she also says that somebody speaks to her out loud. And so they talk to her as if she was in the room. So someone's vocalizing or actually having conversations with her. So see who that is. Is that you?
Sometimes.
So she says she hears you, and so she talks about this outward vocalization. Yet I'm talking to you, and are you going like this? Because I want to talk up here like this. And so she says, you don't have to talk up here. I'm right here. And so she teases you a little bit. So she says, if you just talk to me, she said, I'll give you the impressions that you need. I feel like I'm asking her, am I making a right decision? Am I making the right choice? And she says, if she just slows down a little bit, because she said, sometimes you're your own worst enemy and you get in your way. So she says she hears you. You don't have to go like this anymore, she said.
Okay. I'll be laying down and doing it in the bed.
But she makes me feel that she's listening to you, and she's appearing, and she's drawing close to you, and she's trying to give you information or acknowledge what it is that, you know, the answers to your questions, but you don't quiet yourself down enough to hear it, you know, because you want that instant gratification. You want that golden egg. And she says, you know, it doesn't work that way here in the spirit world. And it's really funny because these flowers just caught my eye. I'm like, I'm looking at these flowers and they just caught my eye. So she references and she's talking about the bouquet of flowers. So is there a special bouquet of flowers?
There was for her funeral.
And so she's talking about the special bouquet, because I feel like it's special, it's separate, it's different, it's, you know, so she's referencing the bouquet of flowers. And so she loves, you know, I almost feel like she has it in her hand. So the bouquet of flowers went with her to heaven. And who put something in her coffin? She says somebody put something in her coffin. So she's talking about the thing that went in her coffin. So she's making me feel like someone put something in there.
I think it's a necklace.
And so whatever went in the coffin, I also feel there might have been a piece of paper, somebody wrote something and they tucked it down inside the side of it. And so she's referencing the things that went in the coffin with her. She's saying that she received them, that she's aware of them. But she says you never should have buried the necklace. She wants to teach you because she says, you know, it's not going to do me any good down here. So, you know, she's appreciative of that kind of stuff. But, you know, she says material things don't benefit us here in the afterworld. But she makes me feel like material things were important to her while she lived.
Yes.
And so, and are you getting a new car?
I just purchased a car.
Fantastic. So she references the new car. So I want to talk about, you know, she references the new car. I feel like you made a good choice, you know, but are there some things you don't like about the car?
The radio.
So she talks about the things that you don't like about the car, but you know, but it's just the way that it is, you know, because there was that, you know, she says that you try to take your time, but there was a little impulsiveness in you. And so the spirit world comes forward today and references your impulsiveness. So the gift in the reading of today is to be mindful of your impulsiveness. Okay. You know, and just when you catch yourself in that moment, take a step back and then allow yourself to see what else is there. Make sense?
Yeah.
God bless you. I'm going to leave you with that.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
What's your name?
My name is Mike.
Hi, Mike. You know what's, Mike, as soon as you sat down or you got up, I really want to talk about the music. So are you doing, I really want to talk about the music. I don't know if you wanted to be in a band or you play in a band or you have a musical instrument, but I want to talk about the music. So I
play the guitar a little bit.
Okay, so I want to talk about the music because I really feel it's an important part of who you are. I feel like the guitar allows me to express myself in different ways. You have some stuff written down because I want to talk about, you know, possible songs that I might have had written down.
A little bit.
You know, so they're talking about the songs. You know, I feel like I'm got a compilation of things that I'm writing about, but there's a part of me that doesn't know how to get them out. So is there a part of you that actually wants to put them out?
Yeah, it's tough sometimes.
But you know what, too? I feel like you've tried to record something already. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so did you put that recording out?
Not yet.
Okay, so you're supposed to put that recording out. And they said, don't worry about how far it reaches. They said, just be proud of yourself that you did it, because then you can grow it from there. So they're really talking about the music I feel like music was my companion through life. I feel like music was my companion even as a childhood as I moved through it, because when I was in what you might deem a dark moment in your life, music was your savior. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so allow the music. I feel like the music, and they're giving me the 24 around you. 24, 24, 24, 24. How old are you?
23.
23, okay. So I feel like the age of 24 is going to be very significant for you. Look for 24 to be one of those life-changing moments, one of those I take a chance. Because I feel like there's things of you want to take a chance, or you've taken a chance, and then there's sometimes when you back off from taking a chance. So 24 is going to be the moment when you take a chance and you bet on yourself. Because they make me feel that you'll bet on somebody else, but you won't bet on yourself. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so 24 is the game changer. So you're going to change some things about yourself when it comes to betting on other people. They said, take that energy and bet on yourself. Because I feel like I'm trying to make some changes in my life. I'm trying to move in a different direction. But there's a part of me that makes me feel like I'm stuck and I don't know how to get there. Or I've created some things in the past that I don't know how to move forward with because they've already been created. Make sense?
Yes.
And so you're supposed to be reminded today that the past is the past and it's already occurred and there's nothing that you can do to change it. They're asking you that there's pieces that you need to forgive yourself for. So are you hard on yourself?
All the time.
Okay, so they're asking you not to be hard on yourself anymore. They're asking you to start forgiving those things because they want to remind you that a mistake is nothing more than a mistake. Don't turn it into a regret. A mistake is something to learn from, not a regret that you should hang on to for the rest of your life. Make sense?
Yes.
So turn that, and it's funny, who used to say turn that frown upside down?
My grandpa.
Okay, because I want to say turn that frown upside down. So is your grandpa in the spirit world?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, because I want to say turn that frown upside down. So there's this, you know, it's something that you should actually almost want to put it somewhere, reference that statement, make that statement a part of who you are, put that statement in your heart, you know, become that statement. Because, do you have a child?
No.
Okay, so be careful. I want to tell you to be careful if you are with somebody, because I feel like there's a child that's going to come in, and all the things that your grandpa has said to you, you are going to start giving those grandpa terms out. And not that you'd ever think of yourself giving those terms out, but you're going to find yourself referencing this gentleman, this man, this matriarch of the family. They're making me feel like he's the patriarch of the family. So they make me feel that grandpa is very important. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, so grandpa's up there. Is grandma in the spirit world? Grandpa's,
yes.
You know, because she comes around the backside, and so she makes me feel, and she's given me 8. So how is the 8 significant to grandma? Is it 8 years that she passes? Her birthday in the month of August. She's giving me the 8th. She's giving me 8. 8 is very important to grandma.
She was born December 8th.
Fantastic. So she's giving me that number 8 as being significant to her. So she comes around the backside. Oh, and so we're coming up on her birthday.
Yes.
And so do you guys still sing happy birthday to her?
My mom does,
Because
yes.
she says that they sing, and she still loves to be, when someone sings happy birthday to me, this is really very important to her. So she says, give mom acknowledgement that I've got the birthday song. So she wants you guys to keep it up. And she says, even when, you know, in your life, she's asking, I feel like there's going to be more than one person singing happy birthday to her this year. So is it only your mom, or does sometimes you guys come together and you sing it together?
My whole family.
Okay, thank you. Because she's making me feel it's not just your mom. She makes me feel like it's a whole family. Everybody gets together and they sing that happy birthday to her. And she loves it. She says, it raises my soul to the roof. And then does your grandpa still cry?
Yes.
Because she, you know, and she shows me the tears, and so she, you know, and so, you know, she says, tell him not to cry anymore. And she makes me feel that he's very close. And she makes me feel that he has a harder time when they sleep together in the evening. So he must be thinking about her a lot. So she wants you to let him know that she got the memo.
Will do.
So God bless you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really hope you enjoyed the reading and the inspiration from the spirit world and understanding what the simple path is all about, because simplicity comes from you when you step upon the path and begin to explore your own heart and your own nature.
Wow, that was cool. Again, we did some live readings. Patty, thank you so much for that. That was a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
Interesting stuff, definitely. And again, our guest, Patty Horton, she's been taking us on the simple path to your spiritual enlightenment. If you want to find out more about her, what she does, how she can help you, reach out to her, innereyeconnections.com. That's innereyeconnections.com, or give her a call, 630-417-7130. And again, Patty, thank you so much for spending the time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.